We are talking fallout from tonight's episode of Impact Wrestling for May 1st, 2014. It's your pal right here, one and only Black Avenger, aka the Black Azrael Lee Sanders. You are checking out an all-new Impact Showdown, episode 103. Yes, it's our 103rd episode. Thank you so much for checking us out. Hey, if you're looking for actual TNA wrestling footage, you want to head on over to TNA Impact Wrestling right here on YouTube. You can find little highlights of what all you have missed from each respected episode of Impact Wrestling as seen on Spike TV. As always, we love the great interactions from you guys. Hey, post those comments down below. You can also go out of your way. Find us on Twitter at the RCWR Show, Facebook, Infinity One Productions. I am paying attention to all the social media activity right now, so I definitely won't leave you out in the cold, so feel free to have at it. Get those comments. I'll do my best to make you be a part of this episode. Hey, this episode is being sponsored in part by our good friends over at Big Sky Wrestling, where the sky is the limit. Whether it is God, wrestling, comedy, music, just overall when it comes to entertainment, the sky is just the limit. Check them out, Big Sky Wrestling. They got a website at, you guessed it, BigSkyWrestling.com. You can also give them a follow on Twitter, Facebook, Big Sky Wrestling. You end up following them, let them know Lee Sanders of the RCWR Show had sent you. Summer right around the corner. They are doing some really good events that's going to be coming up. And you know what? They are like about 95, maybe 98% away from reaching their goal. They have a little Indiegogo thing that's going on. If you want to maybe contribute to that, go check out the link that I have below. They got some really nice perks. I mean, like bare minimum, I think they take like a $2 donation or something like that. Go sign up. Hey, if I'm endorsing them, you can definitely trust them, okay? And it's very rare that I make an endorsement. All right, we are talking about tonight's episode of Impact Wrestling, and I want to let you guys know off the break, and I want to say this in advance so that some of you guys that usually check us out every Thursday night don't get offended, but this is going to be a very short episode. I'm trying to make this be like at least a 30 to 35 minute piece. I'm burned out, okay? My day has just been hectic, okay? Like, I get home from work and I had to immediately, I haven't even had dinner yet, and it's like past 11 o'clock over here on the East Coast. That's PM, by the way. But I get home from work and I like literally had to do a show because we had did a special show over on Blog Talk Radio. We had chatted it up with adult film actress Nina Hartley, and then we were also talking to from the You Shoot Breaking Kayfabe series. You guys know the guy. Come on, you got to if you collect Shoot Wrestling DVDs and all that. Mr. Sean Oliver. It was a really, really great episode that we had. I really enjoyed my time chatting it up with Sean. And then immediately after that was over, I pretty much did TNA Wrestling, watched it along with you guys. And here we are right now. And I got a long night ahead of me as I'm going to be remixing what I had did over at Blog Talk. But if you're following us on Twitter and Facebook, we got the links out so you can check out that episode that we did. Check it out when you get done with this. Some great stuff, man. But yeah, we're going to make this episode be as short as possible. Not really anything has been going on in TNA wrestling related news. We pretty much covered like a bulk of it earlier this week on the previous show, so you might want to pick you on back for whatever we're not going to be talking about here tonight. And of course, we got you guys hooked up when we do our weekend edition. So tonight, we're strictly just talking about tonight's episode of Impact Wrestling. All right, on that note, let's have at it. All right, so it was the aftermath of the TNA Sacrifice pay-per-view, where, you know, I still stand behind the rating that I had gave that pay-per-view. I said that it was a little bit predictable. No, let's be honest, it was a bit too predictable, but there was a nice one, maybe two curveballs, angles that kind of like had you say, I didn't really think about that. But overall, as far as the matches go, there was really no bad matches or awful matches. It was like good. average type matches. It was quite an enjoyable pay-per-view as we are here, Spike TV, new episode of Impact Wrestling, where we had saw MVP bring into his office Mr. Anderson, Gunner. Who else did he bring in there? The It Factor, Bobby Roode. He basically injected himself into the whole thing. And we had ended up seeing EY in there as well, as MVP had told all the guys that were there that they pretty much had won their respective matches at the Sacrifice pay-per-view, and that MVP was in a little bit of a rough spot because he was trying to figure out who was going to be the next #1 contender to face EY. And the way that they were going to figure this out, as this new #1 contender was going to be taking on EY in the main event match for this same episode, okay? MVP came up with something very simplistic. Basically, drawing cards. Poker cards, yes. And as soon as I saw the cards get laid out on the table and everything, I couldn't help but say, what happens if these guys draw aces and eights? You get it? You get it? Zing! I know that was corny as hell, but I couldn't help but say that. I was laughing my ass off when I put that out there, and my girlfriend was just looking at me like, you're so silly. But seriously, I couldn't help but wonder what was going to happen if they all drew like aces and eights. You know, what would that mean? But basically, the high end, low end would basically take on one another, and whoever came out on top of that match would basically meet with EY later on in the night. So we had saw Gunner and Anderson go at it, of which we had saw the Cowboy James Storm actually interfere in this matchup, but we would see, I believe it was Gunner. Yeah, Gunner. He would win that match and advance to the next match, which had saw Roode take on Gunner. Now, keep in the back of your mind how Mr. Anderson had got screwed by the Cowboy James Storm. So, yeah, you're there already? Good, good. So, for those of you that's not, so you know what's going on right here. So we saw Anderson come out at one point while the referee was distracted and everything as the fight had went to the stage ramp area. We saw Mr. Anderson basically come from behind, give a mic check to, I believe it was, Bobby Roode. Yeah, so, no. Yeah, I did say it right. We saw him give a mic check to Bobby Roode, and then pretty much he left the scene of the crime. That was pretty much it. The action went back to the ring. Amongst all the craziness, somehow we had saw Bobby Roode advance. So it would be Bobby Roode that would be taking on EY for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. Kind of, I usually don't like jumping the gun. I like to go boom, 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 boom. But since we're just in that whole flow, we're talking about it and everything, it just made sense to kind of just get those out the way. But I like how they were kind of setting it up right here. You know, quite honestly, if you were checking us out for our TNA Sacrifice post-show and you had backtracked and you listened to our TNA Sacrifice Call That Match special, I told you guys, I said straight up, I said, look, I'm kind of getting the impression that given the fact that Mr. Anderson, he is in a position right now where he's a new daddy. He's got twins. Maybe after his whole match with Samuel Shaw wraps up, maybe he might be taken off television for a couple of weeks, while in actuality, he's probably just going to be taking a little bit of time off to go chill with the missus, enjoy his kids. But, hey, we saw Mr. Anderson here tonight doing his thing on this respected episode, and hey, no complaints right here. But it's looking as though the way things are kind of morphing right now, it looks as though we're going to be seeing the Cowboy James Storm and Mr. Anderson start to get into a program with one another. I think that's kind of cool that they're doing it right there. We did not get Samuel Shaw tonight. I am well aware that TNA has taped at least 2 to 3 weeks worth of episodes of Impact Wrestling, and I'm actually going to talk about that in a little bit. No, I'm not giving away any spoilers, but one of our longtime followers and listeners, he had brought up a very interesting question. We talked about that question. We addressed it on our internet radio version of the RCWR show this week, but I definitely want to address it again for those of you that maybe don't check out our radio shows. You just check out our live web shows, but that's going to be coming up in a little bit. What else can we talk about? We had saw a really hilarious segment between Ethan Carter III, and man, it looks like once again we had a wrestling crowd that was in attendance tonight, because this crowd that was at the Impact Arena in Orlando Studios, Florida, mind you, it was hilarious. These guys were chanting, where's your partner, or some crap like that, where's your lover? And you're like, oh my god, these guys are really, really jumping out there like that. And Ethan Carter actually had to kind of take a pause and kind of acknowledge what the fans were chanting as he was trying to introduce Rockstar Spud. And basically these two guys, they had some type of a sparring match, and it was so funny seeing Rockstar Spud coming out, and he had his whole inspired Kurt Angle outfit on. That's the best way I can describe it for you guys. But the two of these guys, they had an exhibition match, if you will, and it was just looking so like an episode of the Ambiguously Gay Duo. If you guys don't know what the hell I'm talking about, it was like an SNL skit that ran for like many years. I haven't watched SNL, my God, in like a good minute. I think the last time I watched SNL was maybe the last time that U2 was on there to promote their album, and in this case, I think it was 2008's No Line on the Horizon. Has it been that long since we've gotten the new U2 album, you U2 fans? 2008? I mean, that sounds about right. Maybe it was 2010. Let me kind of bump that up a little bit. But in either case, it's been a good minute since I've watched SNL. But yeah, it was like this cartoon skit that would have these two superheroes that wore these tight sky blue looking outfits, and they had these yellow pairs of underwear on and everything. And every time you would see them, they would be in like these very uncompromising positions that would always make their nemesis, people that they would save, all be like, are these guys gay? What the hell is going on? They were like, you got to look it up. YouTube, Dailymotion, just type in SNL, the Ambiguously Gay Duo. I know they had like this Batman-inspired vehicle that was shaped like, well, you gotta look at it to see for yourself. But hilarious stuff. I couldn't help but say to myself as I was watching Rockstar Spud and Ethan Carter, I'm like, am I watching the Ambiguously Gay Duo? What's going on right here? And we had saw Kurt Angle come out doing his tough talk routine, and he basically said, look, Ethan Carter III, when you and me lock up next week, man, I'm not only gonna beat you, but you're no longer gonna be undefeated. And man, I couldn't believe that when you really think about it. Wow, Ethan Carter is actually still undefeated when it comes to singles competition. I kind of challenge that, but hey, if it's a case where he's never lost cleanly in the middle of the ring, whether it be pin or by submission, sounds to me, just the fact that they're mentioning it, Ethan Carter, he may have that streak coming to an end. I know there are some of you guys that are just so passionate about Ethan Carter. You love this man. I saw a couple of comments from you guys over the past couple of weeks, some of you all, and there's a nice little small portion of you all that want for Ethan Carter to be the next TNA World Heavyweight Champion. And I know that there's probably some of you guys that just heard that, and you're probably laughing your ass off. I'm just going to put this question out there to you. I think it's a serious question. Thinking for like the rest of this year, maybe going into early 2015, given the way things are kind of looking right now with TNA Wrestling, them trying to push the younger talent and everything, do you guys feel that maybe before this year is out, Ethan Carter III may become the next TNA World Heavyweight Champion? Post your comments down below. Let me know what you think. You can also send the comments our way on Twitter and Facebook. If you're for it, let me know the reason why. If you're against it, don't just give me because Ethan Carter sucks. Give me a legitimate argument why you feel Ethan Carter would not be a good TNA World Heavyweight Champion. And we'll actually follow up on what you have to say on next Thursday's episode of Impact Showdown. That way we can kind of get a nice overall good vibe from you guys with regards to Ethan Carter. We saw the beautiful and lovely Dixie Carter come to the ring. You couldn't help but wonder what type of business she was on, as she basically was feeling a little bit, I guess, glowing over the fact that she had screwed Bully Ray in his match at the Sacrifice pay-per-view. Well, we had saw Bully Ray make an appearance right before Dixie Carter would come out to the ring and basically say, I got a table with Dixie Carter's name on it, and she will go through this table. And literally, he did have a table with Dixie's name on it. He spray painted it and everything. Fast forward a little bit, you see Dixie Carter, she comes out with like 3 security guards, and there's like about, what, 5 TNA officials that's watching the ramp area, waiting for Bully Ray to come out. And Dixie Carter basically said, look, you screwed me over big time at the Lockdown pay-per-view. Did you honestly think, Bully Ray, that I was not going to get payback? Did you honestly think I was going to let you go unpunished? And so her whole thing was, hey, I hear all this trash talking you're doing, talking about putting me through a table. You can come out here and you can try. Now, pause for a second. Did you guys that watch Impact Wrestling, did you notice how the table was propped up behind Dixie Carter? And did you notice how it was divided in like about 6 pieces? I'm talking about the table. If you go back on your DVR or whatnot, and you check it out, you see what I'm talking about. Like, you know, like the table's like about right here, and like you can see how it was split up. It was like you had one line just going horizontal, and then you had another line just coming in like that. And it looked like the table was broken up in about 6 pieces, so you couldn't help but kind of be like, oh, okay, so we're actually going to see maybe Dixie Carter or somebody go through this wooden table that hopefully will collapse on point, because heaven forbid we have another botched spot. And kudos to one of you guys. I can't think of who it is right now, but somebody had tweeted me this funny ass picture. It was like a GIF image of what had happened from Sacrifice. I don't know if you guys had caught it, but like at one point, I think it was when Bully Ray had picked up Bobby Roode and he was trying to go for a bubble bomb. You see the referee and he's like looking, and there was like so much distance between when Bully Ray picked up Bobby Roode to the referee supposedly getting hit upside the head, that you know, we saw what was supposed to be executed, but because there was so much of a distance, I think the ref was probably like about maybe 4 or 5 feet away. And like after Bully Ray had picked up Bobby Roode, the referee for like about 4 seconds, he's not really sure what to do, so he just starts going all wobbly and he just collapsed on the ground, and you're like, what the hell is going on? If you guys haven't seen that yet, I'll try to see if I can pull it up and actually put it on our Facebook page. But it was just so freaking hilarious. But you couldn't help but think to yourself, when you saw that botch spot at the pay-per-view, you couldn't help but go, my God, well, if somebody's going to be going through a table here, hopefully we don't see another botch spot tonight. But that's not what had happened. We had saw Bully Ray come out, and he actually had some words of encouragement to say to the TNA official guards that were by the ramp area. Basically, hey, man, come on. You know you guys want to see me put Dixie Carter through that table. Don't deny it. Just walk away. And they actually did walk away. How about that? Even the TNA officials hate Dixie Carter's guts. But then it came down to Bully Ray taking on the 3 security guards that were inside the ring trying to protect Miss Carter. And white hot crowd, man. That was a really good crowd. I wish they could take that same crowd and have them be at all the Impact Wrestling shows, because for another consecutive I won't say Impact Wrestling because what we just did was sacrifice, but I can say for another TNA event, that's a good way of putting it. For another TNA event, it was another wrestling crowd type of atmosphere, and I really liked it. It was with that energy that I must admit really kept me invested into the TNA product throughout the whole night. And it was funny seeing Bully Ray get in there, and he was trying to fight the good fight with those three security guards. He was able to fend them off, and then it looked as though he was going to be getting his hands on Dixie Carter. Oh, sweet, we're going to finally maybe see her get a little physical and really get talked about as Bully Ray is going to put her through a wooden table. Didn't happen. We saw him setting it up. He put her in between his legs and all that. Oh, it looked like it was going to happen, but we saw MVP come out, and he basically had informed Bully Ray that he could not do that, that unfortunately he could not lay a hand on her. And furthermore, to kind of echo on the title of this respected episode tonight, yes, we're delivering the truth, as always, when it comes to our titles, even though some of you guys kind of think differently. And I wish when you guys thinking differently, you give me a damn comment, private message me, and let me know what you're thinking, and I'll try to hook you up or whatever. But we had heard MVP basically pull a NBA commissioner Adam Silver type of move and say that Dixie Carter, Bully Ray, they're banned from the Impact Zone. They're banned from TNA apparently. You couldn't help but hear that and say, what the hell is going on here? Are we really going the Donald Sterling route of the Clippers? Come on, man. What's this really about? So I am definitely a bit intrigued on where they're going to be going with this in the next couple of weeks. But I just think it's kind of funny how basically on this episode they kind of like just ripped one from the headlines. But that's definitely one that's going to have to be continued. Magnus, he had crossed paths with someone basically described as an old running mate that used to be alongside him back in the UK. I got to pull this name up because, to my credit, I only started watching NXT like about late going into the new year of this year. And so I actually had to rely on my good friends over at TNA Insider to give me the 411 on who this guy was that we saw talking with Magnus, because he actually roughed up Magnus in the backstage area. He was like, hey, man, I've seen what's been going on with you, what's happened. You've just gotten really freaking soft. What happened to you, man? And yeah, let me actually see if I can pull that up for you guys right now. Just bear with me a second here, because I would just be like set on fire if I did not mention this guy's name. And maybe for those of you that are a little bit more experienced as far as the 411 on this guy, you can give me the 411. You can give the other folks that's going to be watching this the 411 on him. But apparently his name was Bram, a.k.a. Tom Latimer, a.k.a. Kenneth Cameron from WWE's NXT. So, yeah, it looks like TNA had managed to get another former WWE talent from the NXT promotion. And I'm very curious to see where this is going to be going on, as TNA, not only did they introduce us to Bram, but it looks like next week they're going to be introducing, I don't know if it's a stable or if it's a person. I think they're called the Magician, the Molester. I'm being funny, but for real, I can't think of the freaking cat's name, but it just sounded like one of those weird type of names that just had you go, okay, and I'm supposed to be excited for this, but apparently some cat that's name starts with an M. I'm just going to say the Magician. It's supposed to be debuting next week, and bear in mind, we haven't seen like any vignettes. I just got to brainstorm. You guys think that maybe whoever this guy, magician or whatever, that's going to be making the debut, do you think maybe it might be low-key? Because we got the reports floating around that low-key is said to be getting ready to come back to the TNA promotion. And I think to further that argument, he was recently seen in some pictures and a video that was posted on Impact 365. Matter of fact, something about the bromance. They posted a video of themselves trying to make low-key laugh or something along those lines. So I wonder if this new magician, Mahogany, whatever, man, I wonder if that's low-key that's going to be making his debut. That's a to be determined. This is wishful thinking right here, by the way. I have not seen any spoilers for the next 2-3 weeks worth of episodes of Impact Wrestling, so I'm just giving my wishful thinking out there. We'll see how it all comes about. Not really too much more to talk about with regards to tonight's episode, but I do want to take a quick pause, say, hey, I hope you're enjoying our recap and review so far as you're checking out Impact Showdown, episode 103, covering weekly fallout from TNA Impact Wrestling on Spike TV. If you are enjoying our recap and review, go out of your way, give this piece a thumbs up, click down below, get a video a like. You can Google Plus this, Facebook it, retweet it, one of the many ways you can spread a good word about our content. And once again, this episode of Impact Showdown is being sponsored in part by our good friends at Big Sky Wrestling. Beautiful people. Apparently, they had this memo that was mysteriously waiting for them when they had got to the locker room that said that they had to switch up on their dress code as they were dressed a little bit too scandalous or whatnot. So they devised a plan to basically come on out, start off wearing full clothes, and do a little bit of a strip show as a way of rebuttaling this whole request to dress a little bit more classy, a little bit more professionally and all that. And we had saw both girls come out in these really nice, tight, black gowns, nice outfits, killer outfits that was on them. And we saw them work the crowd and everything. They started doing this little slow strip tease, but turns out they're the ones that had wrote this note. Basically, they were trying to stick it to the fans. And it was basically Angelina Love's way of rubbing it in the face of the TNA fans that she is the new TNA Knockouts champion. Well, we saw Gail Kim come out, and she basically had told both girls that she doesn't like them. She's not feeling how Angelina Love is representing the TNA Knockouts division, furthermore representing that TNA Knockouts championship, and that she was going to do everything in her power basically to take that belt away from Angelina Love. And she actually started beating the crap out of both of them as both girls tried to make their way to the back. But we saw Madison Rayne and Brittany meet them up at the stage ramp to strip them right down to their panties and bra. So we got a little bit of skin after all for you guys that was looking for it. Almost saw those pigeons get loose. What else we got to talk about for tonight's episode of Impact Wrestling? Oh yeah, next week you talk about debuts and all that. It looks like the days of Mike Knox, or as the Mike Knox turns, or one Mike Knox to live. Looks like Mike Knox and his stable is going to be making their debut. Their eagerly anticipated debut next week. It's going to be Mike Knox, Rebel. Keep thinking Rebby Sky, but I wish it was Rebby Sky. Shout out to you, Rebby. Love you, hun. I wish it was Rebby, though. But no, Rebel, Crazy Steve, and who's the other guy? I can't think of the other guy, but apparently these guys are going to be making their debut next week. I'm not passing any more judgment until I see what happens. I wasn't really sold on the vignettes that's been happening the past several weeks. Hopefully we'll be able to see something really, really strong when these cats get ready to make their debut, and it's going to be like, oh, this looks like it's going to be pretty damn good after all. I'm hoping. Fingers crossed. Other than that, we had saw... Oh, you know what? I got to make an apology to you guys. I was talking about that whole match between Gunner, Mr. Anderson, and all that. Now that I'm thinking about it, it was actually Gunner and Anderson going at it when James Storm interfered, and then later on in the night, we had saw Willow take on James Storm. Willow picked up the victory as a result of Mr. Anderson coming out during that respected match. I got to clear up that discrepancy right there. I humbly apologize to you guys for that screw up. It happens, man. We're live. Anything can happen, all right? Shout out to that little comment there via Twitter pointing that out to me. Appreciate that. What else can we talk about? DJ Z, he teamed up with the Bromans. They had a match against the Wolves, who had teamed up with Sonata. Great mixed tag team action right there. We have actually saw the team of the Wolves, Sonata, pick up the victory. Main event, it was Eric Young taking on Bobby Roode. TNA Championship on the line. You think about the history that those two men in particular had, and I love the great storytelling that Mike Tenay had presented to make you really feel invested into this matchup, going way back to the days of Team Canada with Scott D'Amore. That's when we had saw EY with Bobby Roode. I love that touch of history right there. Really doing a good job at making the fans really feel invested, especially those that's been checking out the TNA product for such that long period of time and everything. Very good stuff right there, man. Good stuff. That was actually a pretty damn good match. When I think about all the matches that we had got tonight, you know, sticking around for that main event match, it was worth it. We had saw EY retain his championship. You know, I really, really love the fact that EY, the way TNA has been setting him up since he's become the TNA champion, I love the way they're making him be this whole fighting champion. He's defending that belt anytime, any place. He's not backing down from any challenge. I love that. I just think it's so unfortunate that some of my colleagues, you know, sometimes I get a little caught up in it too, but I don't really trip over it like that. And that's about the whole ratings thing, you know. A lot of my colleagues, they'll point out how since EY has been champion, his segments have been just very low, and it's almost to a point right now where, hey, pretty much sooner or later, we may see a scenario come about where maybe the title's going to be taken off EY and he's not really going to be able to have his chance to shine as champion. And I hear some people, they say, well, you know, this was on or this was on, it was the playoffs or this and that. The argument could be made that ECW, WWE at their very best, WCW at their very best, when you had whatever playoffs was on, you know, basketball, football, soccer, whatever, man, it didn't matter. Those respected promotions at their respected times in that respected era, they were able to get their fan base without any problems. They were able to get their viewership. They were able to get those numbers, and you just can't really help but be excited for what's going on with EY and hope that TNA will do him justice and they'll give him a nice lengthy title reign. But then at the same time, you're kind of like thinking in the back of your mind when you hear about what's going on with EY in his segments, how the viewership hasn't really been on point like that. You know, me, I love TNA wrestling. I don't wish for their demise or anything like that. And, you know, I do feel that sometimes we get a little bit too caught up on the numbers. I will admit that. But you can't help but have concern over how his segments in particular have been doing over the past several weeks. But still, despite that, at least in my honest opinion, I really have been enjoying the hell out of this EY defending the championship anytime, any place. I'm loving it. I love how that match with Bobby Roode had ended as EY basically extended his hand out there and Bobby Roode had took it and he pulled him up, and it's kind of like, hey, respect, you know. And you can't help but wonder if that might be a little bit of a a seed planet right there for a potential Bobby Roode face turn. I know one thing. I would love to see Bobby Roode have another run as the TNA champion, but I would love to see it go down with him as a babyface. Because honestly, yes, he's so damn good as a heel, but I think he's kind of almost getting to that point where maybe he might be running his course as a heel. I think it might be time for him to switch it up and everything. But hey, we'll see how things go about. But with regards to this episode of Impact Wrestling tonight, I definitely have to say it was a solid aftermath episode for post TNA Sacrifice. Really had enjoyed it, man. It was good stuff. Let's get to you guys' comments, man. Let's see what you all are saying right here before we get ready to shut it down, because we're going to be going off in a couple of minutes. See some comments coming in here. Want to refresh this bad boy. We'll take it from the bottom and we'll work our way to the top. Now, once again, I'm not really going to be talking about TNA wrestling news because there's not really that much that's been going on since last we were on the air with you guys. If you guys want to hear some TNA stuff or whatever, just backtrack and check out our previous episodes. But yeah, let me see if I can pull up you guys' comments here. Bear with me here. And we got it loading up now. Take it from the bottom. We'll work our way to the tops for you guys right here. All right, here we go. United Gamer, what's up, man? Tonight show was good. Didn't care for the beautiful people segment till Angelina Love did her yell at the end where she threw out her voice. I hope Abyss and Magnus have a match at the pay-per-view because it looks like Magnus may be going back to his brawler days. Abyss did show up, didn't he? You know, it happened so fast and I was so distracted. Abyss did show up. It really wasn't that much, though. What was it? Let me see if I can refresh my memory real quick. Abyss was talking trash, right, guys? He was trying to figure out how come he couldn't get his rematch against EY for the TNA championship, and then the monster Abyss came out. And then I think Abyss and Magnus went at it for a little bit, but Magnus basically tail tucked in between his legs. He hauled ass, and that basically had set up that encounter that he had with Bram backstage area after they had took a commercial break or whatever. Yeah, Gamer, I think that's the way things are looking right now. It looks as though, yeah. I mean, it looks kind of obvious, but, you know, you think, but sometimes TNA, they kind of let things go in a different direction, but the way it's kind of looking right now, yeah, man, looks like Magnus and Abyss are probably going to be engaged in the program very shortly. EC3, it's too early to say because he's in too many comedy storylines right now, so let's see what happens down the road if he's in a real main storyline. Okay, I can agree with that. I can feel you on that. Max, man, tonight's show was okay for me personally. I thought it was lacking a little. Too many running gags like Willow Gimmick and Bully and Dixie getting the Donald Sterling effect. I'm glad you caught that too. There were some good spots for me, like the solid tag match. Other than that, I really just couldn't get into this episode. I give you credit for that one. All right. Innocent 5, beautiful people put on the worst striptease I've ever seen. Yeah, man. Mr. Mike, Dixie, and Sam Shaw's mom. Yeah, mate. EC3 and Gunner are going to wait. I don't know if that's a spoiler, Mr. Mike. I can't read that. Let's see. But I can read the 100 plus 3 congrats. I can't read that one. 8320. I love how TNA is making the World Heavyweight Championship the main focus instead of an afterthought like WWE is doing with its championship. Eric Young is the true fighting champion. It does kind of feel like a nice little throwback vibe, doesn't it? Because, like, if you really think about it, the way they've been doing EY the past couple of weeks, it almost kind of reminds you of, like, some nice throwback wrestling from the good old days where, like, the main event match, it was the champion for that promotion defending his championship against whoever, or maybe you had saw him in a non-title match against whoever, but it's definitely got that nice throwback feel to it. EY is getting ready to do a new show. I think it's a special. It's still his same series, but I think he's getting ready to do a special on Animal Planet. I didn't really talk about that much, but I did think that was one piece of news that was worth mentioning to you guys that you might want to consider checking out when it gets ready to premiere. And Latino, tonight's show was wow, because Bully Ray almost put Dixie on the table, or through the table. Instead, what are you trying to say? Ah, there you go. Instead, MVP stopped that, and she was lucky because the table would have break back. Yeah, I see exactly what you're saying. Yeah, I meant to say her back. I know what you meant. It's okay, buddy. We got you, man. Long night, right? Long night. All right, let's refresh this one more time and see if we have any more comments coming in. There's some comments coming in from you guys that apparently have to be under review. It's saying it's under review right now. I want to try to show you guys some love right here. Make sure we get to all you all's comments. Oh no, when you're cheap plugging like that, no. I hate cheap plugs. That's not even TNA related, man. Let me click on it anyway, just to see what it is that you were trying to send here. What the hell you got me watching, man? What am I watching here? And you know exactly who you are. Initials DN with your CTE. What is this, man? This isn't even TNA wrestling related, man. Don't give me that. Come on, man. That's how you get banned from our channel. Keep it TNA related. Speaking of keeping it TNA related, somebody had a very interesting question, and I just want to say this, and then we're going to go on ahead. We're going to wrap the show up. So just indulge me for just a couple of quick minutes here. Somebody had asked me on Twitter earlier this week. They had said, you know, Lee, I found out what's going to be going on for Slammiversary's main event. I'd like to know what's your thoughts if you know what had came about, and what's your thoughts about spoilers overall. And I replied to him, I said, you know, as far as spoilers go, I stopped talking about spoilers a long time ago. It was at the request of you guys, you our subscribers, and at the request of some of my colleagues, because collectively you guys were like, it doesn't really help the product. It kind of makes some folks say, okay, well, since I read this and I know what's going to happen for next week, I can actually skip this episode. And we all know that a lot of times when they do all these tapings and all that, it's better to watch the overall product, because there's a lot of stuff that get included that's not in the spoilers, that's meant for the viewing eye when you get ready to check it out on television. So I respected what you guys had said. You were like, no, please, no more spoilers. So I stopped doing that. I don't even read spoilers. Like, when it comes to SmackDown, OVW, ROH, whatever wrestling show, man, I don't check out the spoilers. I don't. I refuse to. Very rare do I check out the Twitter timeline. If anything, I check out my personal Twitter timeline as I, interact with my own little close-knit group of friends and peers, and I can get on there and know that I don't have to worry about seeing any spoilers on my timeline. But I do think that the spoilers don't help. I'm not going to say that, like, out of 100%, like, oh my God, it's so devastating. It's like 95% bad when the spoilers are out, because it just ruins the whole. I always compare it to, like, and I think this is an analogy that a lot of you guys use a lot, so forgive me if it sounds recycled. But, for a lot of us, it's like a movie. If you've never seen the movie before, you're not gonna go online and try to see if you can come up with a draft or whatever, or get a script of the movie and basically be like, oh, well, based on the script, I'm gonna go see this movie, or, you go to a pirater and you get a bootleg version of that movie that's out in theaters. Oh, well, since I saw this, yes, well, then again, I don't need to see it now because I saw it for free. It's kind of like that. Like, here's what's going to be happening on the next episode of 24. You get it. I don't need to keep beating the horse to death. But you really wouldn't want to check out the spoilers from some of your other favorite shows and all of that. So it's kind of like, I don't understand why we operate the way that we do when it comes to some of these wrestling shows. But I tell you this much, man, TNA, they're in a bad spot right now because, I mean, it's already out there what's going to be coming about for the next 2 to 3 weeks worth of episodes. And the fact that that information is out there, and the fact that you have people like will go to YouTube and Daily Motion and they could care less in the world about the fact that they're giving away spoilers because all they care about is getting clicks and getting subscribers. Now, I will say this in my defense. When I talked about TNA spoilers, I didn't just do a goddamn 3-minute piece and I just said this person beat this person beat that person, okay, bye guys. No, I actually went over the results and I actually spent several minutes giving my overall takeaway on what I was reading to you guys and giving an early projection on what I thought might be coming about in TNA's way of setting up the next respected episode. And, I just wish that some folks would kind of follow that a little bit more rather than just report on the spoilers. But because, if you're going to talk about the spoilers, then make it worthwhile because anybody can go online and read the goddamn results themselves. Make it worthwhile for that person to maybe want to come on back and check it out some more. But when I was covering spoilers, I mean, that's how I would approach it. But I do think spoilers are bad, to answer your question, and you know exactly who you are. And I'm hoping that the TNA product, maybe they can kind of, if they can get in that position, I would personally love to see them bring back live episodes of Impact Wrestling like every single Thursday night. I think it would just be awesome. That way they can just eliminate that crap once and for all. I mean, TNA had a really good thing going when they permanently were down at the Orlando studios. They could have been in that position where they could have given folks live episodes of Impact Wrestling and still making some type of a profit. But given everything that's been going on right now, I mean, only time will tell if they can get to that point. But I definitely think it would be very key, especially when you just add in that element of it being live, and it's like, my God, anything can happen. You know what I'm saying? Now, some folks will go, well, there are some weeks where Impact Wrestling is live. Not necessarily. I hate to burst that bubble, but there's like a tape delay. I think the tape delay is like by about 15 minutes or something like that. Don't quote me on that, but they do have a tape delay for when they're supposedly live. They actually need to cut that crap and actually be live. Anything can happen. You know what I'm saying? If you're not checking it out when it's live right there on the spot, well, then you're SOL as far as when you get ready to check out the highlights on YouTube and all that. That's just my wishful thinking on that. I could be wrong. Some of you may disagree with what I'm saying. And if you disagree, it's okay, man. It's good that we disagree from time to time because, my God, if you're always agreeing with me, at some point something's wrong. You know what I'm saying? If you're agreeing with me 100% of the time, something's wrong. You know what I'm saying? But, yeah, that's going to do it. All right, so we got another show in the books. I don't know how I was able to do it, but we managed to do this. I did like 3 shows today for you guys. Check them all out, by the way. All right, so Friday, we're going to be back on here on YouTube. We're going to be talking about the Extreme Rules pay-per-view that's going to be coming up this Sunday by the WWE. We're doing another special Booker edition of the RCWR show. It's our Call That Match edition. We'll be coming on at 10 p.m. Eastern as soon as SmackDown goes off the air. So join us for that. Interact. Let me know what you think is going to be going down on that pay-per-view. We'll preview it. We'll go over the entire card. I'll give you my projected winners. Let you guys know what I think might be coming about from next batches of episodes of WWE programming as far as next setup of rivalries and all that. And then Saturday, we got a really cool kick-ass weekend edition of the RCWR show, which you can catch at 9 p.m. Eastern over at Blog Talk Radio. Gonna be hanging out at my favorite movie theater. I'm gonna be seeing The Amazing Spider-Man 2. I'll be giving you guys my overall review of that movie on that weekend edition, so check that out. We'll also go into the very latest in entertainment headlines and beyond. Sunday, we got the WWE Extreme Rules post-show simulcast. You'll be able to catch it on YouTube and on Blog Talk Radio. We'll have the phone lines open, whole 9 yards, man, so make sure you join in on that. Let me know what you had thought about the pay-per-view if you ended up checking it out. Once again, if you're fiending for more of our content, I just got done a couple hours ago doing a great interview with adult film actress Nina Hartley and Breaking Kayfabe and You Shoot host Sean Oliver. Check it out. Great shit, man. It was some really, really great shit, especially when I got the opportunity to kick it with Sean Oliver. Let me tell you this real quick. Out of all the guests that I've had the opportunity of sitting down, going one-on-one with since like late 2011 to now, Sean Oliver was the best freaking guest I've ever had. Very energetic, bursting with personality. You'll hear it. You got to hear it for yourselves. It was a really great interview, and it was a real honor to have him on the show. So definitely check that out. Show it some love. You love shoot interviews and all that. Represent. Check that out when you get a chance. We got the links on Facebook, Twitter, and all that. We got episodes available on Stitcher, iTunes, TuneIn, SoundCloud, Spreaker. Coming soon to iHeartRadio. Oh, yeah. Green light. We're coming on to iHeartRadio very shortly. That's going to do it, boys and girls. I wish all y'all to be safe. Be kind to one another. I'll catch you on the rebound. Everybody, take care.